And I technically work for the library, vis-a-vis, etc. The librarian. But I don't
really have a choice. These three will be using this as the base of operations, and I'll be supervising their security, so make yourself useful or make yourself gone.
I suppose this always the clippings book.
It's a clippings book.
Oh, child of the annoying digital age. It is how we used to gather information about news stories. Each page has clippings from different sources detailing a bizarre mystery.
No, we really don't need a book full of old newspaper articles.
Ah, silly Midwestern person. This clippings book is the library's clippings book. Every night there is a new page, new information about a new mystery happening that very day. Come, let's begin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this one.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely gonna have to. Oh. Watch that. Yes. How about you guys? The Librarians. That is such a fantastic show. Looks like it's going to be great. And it's all about books. Well, sort of. To be fair, it's really more about knowledge being power, a weapon and a tool. And speaking of knowledge being power and a weapon and a tool, etc., that leads me quite nicely into the book I'm going to be talking about this week. Welcome to Chapter 9 of Book 1 of You Should Be Reading. And hold on. Gotta get my hat on. Yes, there's a reason why I have this. Even though the main character in the books I'm about to be talking about has never actually really worn a hat. What book is it? Well, this one. There we are. Stormfront by Jim Butcher, the first book of the Dresden Files series, a long-running urban fantasy series. It's been going on for quite a while now. He puts out a book pretty much every year, maybe more than one. It is set in a very modern day world, hence the name urban fantasy. A lot of the urban fantasy genre that's out there now is set in modern day. This one in particular is set in Chicago. And what's it about? Well, it's about Harry Dresden, the hero, the protagonist of the book. He is a wizard. He's in the Yellow Pages. It's actually part of his gimmick. He's a private detective wizard working in Chicago who knows all about the seedy underworld, the underbelly of the supernatural scene that is hidden from most mortal eyes. And as the books go on, as the series progresses, there's a lot of things going on. But this particular book is all about... Where is it here? Yes. A murder committed via black magic that he's hired as a consultant by the police to figure out how it happened. Now, because he's a consultant and a private detective, he's got rent to pay, he needs to make money. There's that whole private detective down on his luck shtick where he gets money wherever he can. Problem being, he's also a wizard. He's connected to the Wizarding Council, the High Council, the White Council, it's called. And if they find out he's even looking at black magic, that could get him killed. Because his past is murky, to say the least. His mentor, his master, whatever you want to call it, the one who taught him magic, was into some pretty heinous dark magic, even though Harry, wasn't. But people still look at him because he was taught by this guy, so naturally something must have rubbed off on him. Now, the neat thing is, it's not magic like a lot of books can do magic and interpret magic, where it's something that just happens and boom. No. Magic in this is grounded in reality in a way. One of the things Harry often likes to say is that magic still has to adhere to the laws of physics. You can conjure up fire, not a problem, but it's still going to burn and it's still going to spread like fire, and it can still hurt you. You can conjure up a lot of force and cause it to basically punch into something, to knock someone away, knock down a door, whatever. But Newton's laws of physics are still going to apply. Equal and opposite reaction. You've got to brace yourself, etc., etc. Things like this. He grounds it in very realistic terms, and it's really quite interesting. What's also really amazing about him, I'm a big Butcher fan, is that Harry is a bit of a smartass. He likes to run his mouth off. He likes to piss off the people he's going up against by talking and being sarcastic. And he does it quite well. There isn't really anyone I've read, any protagonist, quite as capable of seriously pissing off the people that he's fighting as Harry Dresden. Now, there was also a television series, which I happen to own, starring Paul Blackthorne. Very interesting. This story is in here under, where is it? Disc 2. Yeah, about halfway through a third of the way through the series. It's 4 and 4 episodes, so that's 12 episodes. See, I can do math. But yes, it's the 8th episode through is this one, Stormfront. And it basically follows the same premise. It's only about an hour, 45 minute to an hour long episode. And it still follows the same premise. Naturally, they had to cut a few things, time constraints and whatnot. There is another version of Stormfront. The episode that follows it more closely is a little bit longer. You can get it on some copies. Mine doesn't have that. But if you really want, you read the book. Get it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Jim Butcher, he's been writing Harry Dresden for quite a while now. We're into about 15 books, I believe. Close to it. Yeah. He's also got another fantasy series, which I'll cover another time. But it's really worth the effort. Even if all you read is the first one, even if that's all you get from it is this one book, it's worth it to read it. Just to say that you have, to know. It's the same as, for example, like Harry Potter, or The Hunger Games, or... No, I'm not going to say Twilight. Other series out there, series that I've talked about, series that you may be hearing big things about. You should make an effort to at least read one. You don't have to read them all. If you don't like them, that's fine. But give a book a chance. Give a series a chance. Because it might surprise you. Now, there are a lot of characters in these books. You've got Harry, you've got Karen Murphy. She is the police lieutenant who's in charge of these special investigations that uses Harry as a consultant for a double murder in this particular book. There's a mob boss involved. There's Bob the Skull. Yes, talking skull. Well, sort of. The skull is actually the home for Spirit in this. And, yeah, there's quite a few characters. I don't want to get too spoilerific because it's an amazing series. But yes, and on top of that, he also gets a second case because, seriously, what detective novel, especially a detective that's down on his luck and needing the cash, how could you resist not taking multiple cases at the same time? And usually in those cases, in those events, the cases that they take tend to tie back into each other, even if only tangentially. I'm not going to say whether that happens in this one or whether it's more serious or what's the deal, but usually that's the gist of the genre, if you've read any of them. There seems to be a lot of it. So, why should you read Stormfront? Why should you read any of the Dresden Files? Because it's about a wizard. What more do you really need? A wizard in a trench coat with a staff, an actual staff, magic wand, magic potions. There's a lot of alchemy that happens in the books. Usually, every book he does mix up a different potion. Some of the ingredients that they use, really interesting. There's a lot of symbology. Listen to me. A lot of symbolism. Going back to the Boondock Saints there. Symbology. Anyways, there's a lot of symbolism that goes on. There's a lot of delving into old fairy tales and old myths, bringing them all back up to the surface. In one of the books, Harry actually squares off against the Billy Goat's Gruff. A little bit more dangerous than the children's story actually implies. There's fairies kicking around. There's vampires. Three different courts of vampires. One of which, the Black Court vampires, based off of Bram Stoker's Dracula. You find out in one of the later books that Bram Stoker's Dracula was actually written to basically give all of the weaknesses of that Black Court to everybody, to widely disperse them, thereby letting people be able to defend themselves against the evil Black Court vampires. There's a Red Court vampire that is really disgusting, and then there's a White Court vampire, which are kind of like emotion feeders. They don't feed off blood, really. Sort of different variations on a theme. Santa Claus shows up in one of the books later on because St. Nicholas, the old legends regarding him, not really as nice. That's one of the things you always find in a lot of the Dresden Files. A lot of the cutesy things tend to pop up as being nasty. But Stormfront, this particular one, is a good introduction to the series. It leads in with Harry, deals with him, solidifies his personality, solidifies Karen Murphy's personality right off the bat, their working relationship, and pretty much sets up the tone for every book that follows it. And if you like urban fantasy, if you're a fan of that genre, if you're a fan of just wizards in general, Stormfront is a good book. So, yeah. This week, you should be reading Stormfront by Jim Butcher, book 1 of the Dresden Files. And I'm going to leave you with this. My name is Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden. Conjure by it at your own risk. I'm a wizard. I work out of an office in Midtown Chicago. As far as I know, I'm the only openly practicing professional wizard in the country. You can find me in the Yellow Pages under Wizards. Believe it or not, I'm the only one there. My ad looks like this. Harry Dresden, Wizard. Lost items found. Paranormal investigations. Consulting, advice, reasonable rates. No love potions, endless purses, parties, or other entertainment. You'd be surprised how many people call just to ask me if I'm serious. But then, if you'd seen the things I'd seen, if you knew half of what I knew, you'd wonder how anyone could not think I was serious. I finished up my paperback and tossed it into the done box. There was a pile of red and discarded paperbacks in the cardboard box on one side of my desk. The spines bent and the pages mangled. I'm terribly hard on books. Harry, Harry, Harry. I was eyeing the pile of unread books, considering which to start next, given that I had no real work to do, when my phone rang. I stared at it in a somewhat surly fashion. We wizards are terrific at brooding. After the third ring, when I thought I wouldn't sound a little too eager, I picked up the receiver and said, Dresden? Oh, is this, Harry Dresden? The, wizard? Her tone was apologetic, as though she were terribly afraid she would be insulting me. No, I thought. It's Harry Dresden, the, lizard. Harry the wizard is one door down. It is the prerogative of wizards to be grumpy. It is not, however, the prerogative of freelance consultants who are late on their rent. So instead of saying something smart, I told the woman on the phone, Yes, ma'am. How can I help you today? She said, I'm not sure. I've lost something, and I think maybe you could help me. Finding lost articles is a specialty, I said. What would I be looking for? There was a nervous pause. My husband, she said. She had a voice that was a little hoarse, like a cheerleader who'd been working a long tournament, but had enough weight of years in it to place her as an adult. My eyebrows went up. Ma'am, I'm not really a missing persons specialist. Have you contacted the police or a private investigator? No, she said quickly. No, they can't. That is, I haven't. Oh dear, this is all so complicated. Not something someone can talk about on the phone. I'm sorry to have taken up your time, Mr. Dresden. Hold on now, I said quickly. I'm sorry, you didn't tell me your name. There was that nervous pause again, as though she were checking a sheet of written notes before answering. Call me Monica. People who know diddly about wizards don't like to give us their names. They're convinced that if they give a wizard their name from their own lips, it could be used against them. To be fair, they're right. I had to be as polite and harmless as I could. She was about to hang up out of pure indecision, and I needed the job. I could probably turn hubby up if I worked at it. Okay, Monica, I told her, trying to sound as melodious and friendly as I could. If you feel your situation is of a sensitive nature, maybe you could come by my office and talk about it. If it turns out that I can help you best, I will, and if not, then I can direct you to someone I think can help you better. I gritted my teeth and pretended I was smiling. No charge. It must have been the no charge that did it. She agreed to come right out to the office and told me that she would be there in an hour. That put her estimated arrival at about 2:30. Plenty of time to go out and get some lunch, and then get back to the office to meet her. The phone rang again, almost the instant I put it down, making me jump. I peered at it. I don't trust electronics. Anything manufactured after the 40s is suspect, and doesn't seem to have much liking for me. You name it. Cars, radios, telephones, TVs, VCRs, none of them seem to behave well for me. I don't even like to use the automatic pencils. I answered the phone with the same false cheer I had drummed up for Monica, husband missing. This is Dresden. May I help you? Harry, I need you at the Madison in the next 10 minutes. Can you be there? The voice on the other end of the line was also a woman's, cool, brisk, businesslike. Why, Lieutenant Murphy, I gushed, overflowing with saccharine. It's good to hear from you, too. It's been so long. Oh, they're fine, fine. And your family? Save it, Harry. I've got a couple bodies here, and I need you to take a look around. I sobered up immediately. Karen Murphy was the Director of Special Investigations out of downtown Chicago, a de facto appointee of the police commissioner to investigate any crimes dubbed unusual. Vampire attacks, troll maraudings, and fairy abductions of children didn't fit in very neatly on a police report. But at the same time, people got attacked, infants got stolen, property was damaged or destroyed, and someone had to look into it. In Chicago, or pretty much anywhere in Chicagoland, that person was Karen Murphy. I was her library of the supernatural on legs, and a paid consultant for the police department. But 2 bodies, 2 deaths by means unknown? I hadn't handled anything like that for her before. Where are you? I asked her. Madison Hotel on 10th, 7th floor. That's only a 15-minute walk from my office, I said. So you can be here in 15 minutes. Good. I said. I looked at the clock. Monica, no last name, would be here in a little more than 45 minutes. I've sort of got an appointment. Dresden, I've sort of got a pair of corpses with no leads and no suspects and a killer walking around loose. Your appointment can wait. My temper flared. It does that occasionally. It can't, actually, I said, but I'll tell you what. I'll stroll on over and take a look around and be back here in time for it. Have you had lunch yet? She asked. What? She repeated the question. No, I said. Don't. There was a pause, and when she spoke again, there was a sort of greenish tone to her words. It's bad. How bad are we talking here, Murph? Her voice softened, and that scared me more than any images of gore or violent death could have. Murphy was the original tough girl, and she prided herself on never showing weakness. It's bad, Harry. Please don't take too long. Special Crimes is itching to get their fingers on this one. And I know you don't like people to touch the scene before you can take a look around. I'm on my way, I told her, already standing and pulling on my jacket. 7th floor, she reminded me. See you there. Okay. I turned off the lights in my office and went out the door, and locked it behind me, frowning. I wasn't sure how long it was going to take to investigate Murphy's scene, and I didn't want to miss out on speaking with Monica Ask Me No Questions. So I opened the door again and got out a piece of paper and a thumbtack and wrote, Out briefly, back for an appointment at 2:30, Dresden. That done, I started down the stairs. I rarely use the elevator, even though I'm on the 5th floor. Like I said, I don't trust machines. They're always breaking down on me just when I need them. Besides which, if I were someone in this town using magic to kill people 2 at a time, and I didn't want to get caught, I'd make sure that I removed the only practicing wizard the police department kept on retainer. I liked my odds on the stairwell a lot better than I did in the cramped confines of the elevator. Paranoid? Probably. But just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that there isn't an invisible demon about to eat your face. Words to live by.